Hello students, welcome to Legacy IAS Academy. In today's video, we are going to discuss about a recent issue that has cropped up, that was covered by newspapers also, is the pollution level which was very higher, which still is higher in the national capital region of Delhi. And one of the culprits responsible for such high level of atmospheric pollution is always believed to be the farm fires that happen in the nearby agricultural regions of Delhi, especially in the states such as Punjab, Haryana and Uttar Pradesh. So today's video, we are going to discuss in details about these farm fires, especially in the northern India, how the farm fires are counted and what is the limitation of the counting method that the government of India and its scientific wings uses for understanding this in more detail. So first of all, to give you the brief context of this particular topic, after much debate over, as we have discussed, the contribution of farm fires to the national capital's pollution, finally farm fire season is coming to an end. And as per the recent report, across 6 states of the North India, that is Punjab, Haryana, UP, Delhi, Rajasthan and Madhya Pradesh, a total of 55,725 farm fire accidents or incidents were reported in 2-month period only. And you can understand the contribution of Punjab from here, because out of this 56,000 we can say farm fire accidents or incidents, because it is deliberate fire, 36,323 fires were only in the state of Punjab. Not only that, the state also has seen its highest single day count for the fire in this season so far, with 3,230 fires recorded in a single day, that was on the month of November, on the 5th day of November. If you look at this map, you can clearly see that this is the North India, where we have Delhi, that is the national capital, and around this region, it is the Punjab and Haryana region border, you can see, is where you will see the maximum intensity or maximum number of fire, maximum cases of the fire. If we try to look at this more from this particular data point, what we can see that there is a sudden increase in the farm fire incidents in the month of November, that goes on in the entire November, and after that, as we can see, in the middle of November, from the beginning of November to mid of November, we can see there is a very high number of farm fire cases, which is lesser in October and then again start to reduce in the case of December. Now, for counting of the farm fire, who is responsible? So first of all, the government of India has an organization that is called as Indian Agricultural Research Institute, also referred as IARI. And IARI Consortium for Research on Agro-Ecosystem Monitoring and Modeling from Space, it has developed a system that in short is also referred as CREAMS. So CREAMS laboratory puts out a daily bulletin on the paddy residue fires. Now, why we are calling the paddy residue fire? Because whenever we talk about, in general, the term that we use is the farm fire. Farm fire is basically when the harvesting of paddy is completed, the stalks of paddy are left behind in the ground, and these stalks, unless and until they are not removed, cannot be used for cultivation of another crop in the next season. And that is why the best way to get rid of these stalks, paddy stalks, are to burn them, because by burning, the organic matter, organic content of the soil also increases. That helps in increasing the nutrient and the cultivation of the next season crops. That is why we are calling it a paddy residue fires. Then this bulletin that carries data from the 6 states that we have discussed before, and Delhi provide a district-wise breakdown of the number of farm fire incidents that is recorded. Not only that, it also gives exact location where these fires are recorded, the satellite that records them, the time of recording, and the intensity or firepower associated with each of the farm fire incident. Now, let us try to understand details what is the methodology that is used by this particular organization, that is IARI, Indian Agricultural Research Institute. So, it is using the satellites, example, NASA satellites are there. These NASA satellites basically record the land surface temperature at different places on the earth. And within these satellites, there are a lot of different instruments are there. For example, one instrument that is called as VIIRS. This instrument is currently aboard the Suomi NPP satellites, and this is one of the major instrument that is used for the farm fire calculation, because it produces the image of highest resolution. Second instrument is what is called as MODIS, which is about the Terra and Aqua satellite. So these Terra and Aqua satellite based MODIS, it collects the data by a slightly coarser resolution. Here the resolution is much more finer. Here the resolution becomes slightly coarser in nature. And by using the VIIRS and MODIS instrument, that each satellite that is passing over the Indian subcontinent twice every 24 hours at different times, and then these satellites scan the region in a one particular sweep, in a single sweep, covering the area from somewhere near the Indian Ocean to Ladakh in around 13 to 15 minutes of time interval. And the data that is released by the satellites are then used for understanding the farm fire incidents. Apart from that, there is one other satellite that has been launched by European Space Agency, which is called as Sentinel-2 satellites. So this satellite is also used for mapping the burned areas in the north part of India. Then once the data is collected, there is also a protocol that has been put into place, especially after year 2013, and this protocol is something like this. The Indian Agricultural Research Institute, it receives the satellite data at its own ground station and also from the NRSC, that is National Remote Sensing Center. Although the data is talked about most at the time of the year, farm fires are monitored all year round and throughout the country as well. But overall, since the contribution of farm fires in atmospheric pollution is highest in North India, that is where focus mainly lies. And since the farm fire incidents, most of the incidents happen during a time of winter months, that is when 2 to 3 months when this news makes a headline in the national TV as well as newspapers. There were other state centers also that are taking data from ISRO and monitoring as well. Due to this earlier time, there are a lot of differences in the number of events recorded. And so to make sure that this does not repeats, this does not happen, the Commission for Air Quality Management, it has said that a standard protocol will be used to monitor farm fires using the satellite data. And thus IARI processed the data once again from 2020 using this protocol, and comparative data is now available from 2020 onwards as well. By comparative data, what we mean here is that you can compare that since 2020, what has been the changes in the incidents of farm fire, whether the number have increased or decreased, whether the farm fire intensity has increased or decreased, or whether the new areas or the old areas are basically being used for the farm fire. So comparison can go a long way in understanding the evolution of the farm fire incidents and its overall impact on the pollution level in the North India specifically. Then first of all, the question that can come into mind that we might have a lot of fires that is going on all around. So how can we identify, or basically how can we isolate that this particular farm fire incident or this particular fire incidents we can say is associated with paddy field. So in this regard, basically there is a need to differentiate paddy and crop residue fire from forest fires or fires coming from industries and brick kilns, because the signature, the heat signature will be something that will be recorded entirely by the satellite, and thus there is a need to separate this. So that is why basically the method is based on the different reflectance signature of different kinds of fire. For example, reflectance signature here means that the fire that is happening due to the fire in the paddy field will have a background of water, and thus it will emit different kind of fire signature as compared to industrial fire or a forest fire. Then what they do, they overlay this fire event with this particular background, and then from an active fire the satellite provides the land surface temperature as well, and thus the land surface temperature is calculated, and on that basis the isolation of the paddy fire incidents are taken. For example, if we try to understand it in more detail, what we can say that if the land surface temperatures of a given point is more than a particular threshold when compared to its surrounding, it is indicative of a fire. This threshold varies season, day as well as night. Now the other topic or other concept that is related to the fire incident is about the concept of fire intensity. So fire intensity, which is also many times referred as fire power, it is expressed in terms of energy emitted per unit area per unit time. That means its unit will be watt per meter square per second. And in this regard, basically the intensity of fire is dependent upon the amount of residue that is being burned. That means what we can say is higher the amount of residue burned, that means there will be higher increase in the temperature that the satellite is recording. Higher the increase in temperature, it reflects upon the intensity of fire, that means the intensity will be higher. And if there is a higher intensity of fire, that means there will be a greater chances of fire detection by the satellite. A more intense fire shows more residue was burned. That is something we can also say vice versa, and reverse is true. Now, how the intensity is determined, that whether the fire is of low intensity or high intensity. So if the fire power, which we know that is measured as energy emitted per unit area per unit time, it is in the range of 2 to 3 watt per meter square, then it is called as low intensity. And if the firepower is in the range of 18 to 20 watt per meter square, then it is called as high intensity. While in between the range, it is called as the moderate intensity fire. Now, the question is, the other problem is that the data that we receive from the satellite is also not very accurate, and there are a lot of limitations as well. For example, the first limitation is with regard to number of satellites in operation. As you know, we are dependent on mainly 3 to 4 satellites, and these 3 to 4 satellites are not continuously focused on the same area. So, for example, it will capture fire in a particular region of the earth, specifically if you talk about from the perspective of India, for a certain duration only. Second is the number of passes that the satellites are making are also limited in number, and that is why if the number of passes increased, there will be more events that we can capture. But unfortunately, as of now, since India is dependent on the other organizations or other countries for collecting this data, we have not been able to increase these satellite passes over the part of India. Third is climatic conditions also play a strong role in collection of data, or basically what we can say, this gathering of evidence related to the fire by the satellites. Because what happens, there are the sensors are basically what is present inside the satellite, which is measuring and capturing the the farm fire incidents. So sometimes what happens, the sensors about the satellite work somewhat like in infrared thermometer range, and thus from a distance of 600 to 800 meters they are working. So distance is also longer, the range is limited. So many times the signal that is absorbed becomes kind of what we can say inaccurate in nature, especially if there is a presence of huge amount of water vapor or clouds in the sky. Thus, the clear climatic condition will facilitate much better and accurate data measurement, while rainy weather, cloudy weather will interfere with the data absorption or data collection by the satellites. Next is, since satellites are a mechanical system, it is a mechanical system, there are a lot of sensors, lot of parts are there. So there is a many time the need arises where the sensors have to be recalibrated, and this recalibration of sensor causes delay also in receiving data from the satellites. So these are the major limitations that IARI has to face in collection of farm fires. Now, once the farm fire data is collected, what is done after that? So basically, once the data is collected, the IARI is responsible for making up a bulletin, and then this bulletin is sent to the central and state level agencies, including CAQM, Ministry of Agriculture, and state agriculture departments in the states of 6 states of North India. Then based on this bulletin of the compiled condensed data that this organization receives, it helps authority to decide on the measures that need to be taken. If obviously the incidents of farm fire are lesser in number, if the impact on atmospheric pollution is something that is not clearly established, in that case they can take lenient decisions regarding to the provision or prevention of firepower. On the other hand, if there is urgent need to basically regulate the farm fire, then that can be done as well. Apart from that, the location data, which basically accurately present to us that where exactly most incidents of farm fires are basically observed. It also helps in identifying the burning hotspots or districts where focused measures are needed, such as ensuring availability of machinery. And next, Punjab and Haryana have also, based on the bulletin, the data that is present in the bulletin sent by IRI, Punjab and Haryana government also have set targets for reduction of farm fires number this year based on satellite data on farm fires in different districts. So basically, if the Punjab, as you have discussed, is the region which is receiving or which is recording highest number of firepower, so obviously we can focus more on Punjab as compared to the other states of North India. So that is how the data collection helps us in understanding and preventing farm fires or controlling them to a certain extent. That is all about this particular video. That is all. Thank you very much.